Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Context channel, the podcast that dissects political earthquakes around the world. I'm Emily, your host, and with me is Richard.
Great to be back, Emily, and thanks to everyone for connecting with us. Today, we are diving deep into a truly volatile situation, the crisis surrounding former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. The political temperature in Pakistan is not just high, it's boiling, driven by something chilling, rumors of his death and an escalating demand for basic proof of life.
This isn't just about the health of a politician, it's about the stability of a nuclear armed nation. Even his sister has come out to the media and shared her concerns. Let us listen to her before we move forward.
कुछ नहीं पता और ना वो बता रहे हैं और जो लोग जा रहे हैं ना उनको मिलने दे रहे हैं। अभी उनके पार्टी के लोग वहां गए और उन्होंने उनको ना उनकी मीटिंग शेड्यूल थी, उनको अंदर नहीं जाने दिया। हम लोग गए हैं पिछले 4 हफ्तों से, हम लोगों को नहीं मिलने दे रहे। तो अब इस तरह की फिर वो बातें फैल रही हैं और ये बल्कि इंडिया से हमें तो पता चला कि इंडिया से खबर निकली थी कि उनको कत्ल कर दिया। अब इतनी बड़ी बात कैसे इन्होंने शुरू की, ये मुझे भी नहीं समझ आ रहा। वो पुलिस को क्योंकि इन्होंने हुक्म दिया हुआ है कि इनको आपने रोकना भी है, और पुलिस जब मेरा ख्याल है उनको ये भी इजाजत दी हुई है कि आप जो मर्जी इनके साथ करें। ये पाकिस्तान में पहले कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ, कभी औरतों के साथ उन्होंने कभी किसी ने ऐसी बदतमीजी नहीं की और कभी उन्होंने ऐसा जुल्म किसी पे भी नहीं हुआ था। ये पहली दफा है पाकिस्तान में कि ना वो बच्चा देख रहे हैं, ना बूढ़ा देख रहे हैं और ना औरत देख रहे हैं या आदमी है। जो जो उनको इजाजत है कि जो भी उनको मिल जाए उसको आप वैसे ही मारें जैसे आपको कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है। तो ये चल रहा है पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त। आप सब दुनिया में सबको ही पता है क्या हो रहा है पाकिस्तान में।
When the family of a former prime minister has to go public, demanding proof that he is still alive, you know the situation has moved from political dispute to a major human rights and security crisis. We've been reading extensive reports across global media, all shedding light on this dangerous lack of transparency surrounding Khan's confinement in Adiala Jail.
The relevance here cannot be overstated. Imran Khan, despite being behind bars, remains arguably the most popular political figure in Pakistan. His political party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or PTI, commands massive public support. Any perceived harm to him or ambiguity about his well-being could ignite widespread, uncontrollable street protests and plunge Pakistan into the kind of instability no one wants to see. That's why these sources, which cover the family's fight, the government's stonewalling, and the UN's intervention matter so much right now.
Let us look at the first segment of the video, the chilling claim and the legal fight. Let's start with the central, most alarming controversy, the rumors themselves and the lack of clarity. Reports circulating, including coverage from the Times of India, detail a terrifying uncertainty fueled by statements from Khan's own family. Specifically, his son sparked a new round of doubts, effectively saying there was no proof of life provided by the authorities.
For the past 6 weeks, he has been kept in solitary confinement in a death cell with zero transparency. His sisters have been denied every visit, even with clear court orders allowing access. There have been no phone calls, no meetings, and no proof of life. It is a deliberate attempt to hide his condition and prevent our family from knowing whether he is safe. The Pakistani government and its handlers will be held fully accountable, legally, morally, and internationally, for my father's safety and for every consequence of this inhumane isolation.
It's a powerful and deeply unnerving phrase, no proof of life. In any other democratic setting, the idea that a political prisoner of that stature could be held without reliable, consistent evidence of his well-being is unfathomable. This is the conversation hook right here. Why the total silence? And why the intense secrecy from the authorities at Adiala Jail?
Exactly. And this lack of access and transparency has forced his family to take drastic legal action. According to reports from media, Khan's sister, Alima Khan, whose video we shared earlier in today's discussion, felt compelled to file a contempt plea against the Adiala Jail superintendent. Think about that. She's not just issuing a complaint, she's saying the jail officials are actively defying court orders or established procedure, essentially holding them in contempt for their actions, or rather, their inactions, regarding family access.
Emily, while the family's frustration is clearly justified, the contempt plea highlights the broader conflict in Pakistan, the judiciary being used as a battleground for political struggles. The family is fighting for their basic human right to access their relative, but they are meeting a brick wall erected by bureaucratic and arguably military forces. India Today's reporting often touches on the long shadow cast by the powerful military establishment, sometimes represented by figures like the army chief, and its perceived influence over the state machinery, including the jail system.
That's a fascinating perspective. The jail is just the physical location. The real power struggle is happening elsewhere. The family's actions and the PTI's demands for an immediate meeting with Khan due to health worries are not just about checking his temperature. They are a political challenge to the state's narrative that Khan is merely an ordinary prisoner. They are demanding that the rule of law and the right to due process prevail over political expediency. Let us look at the next section: warnings of chaos and official stonewalling.
The irony is rich. A former prime minister, a national icon, is being treated like a ghost. It generates global headlines and, crucially, empowers the narrative of political persecution, which is exactly what the state apparatus likely wants to avoid in the long run. This brings us to the political consequences, which are dire. Khan's family isn't just worried about his personal health, they are worried about the future of Pakistan itself, as we saw in a statement released by Khan's sister, warning that harm to him will push Pakistan into chaos. That's not hyperbole, that's a political reality check.
That's the most vivid and urgent takeaway from these articles. It's a direct warning to the military and the ruling coalition. Khan's sister is articulating what every political observer knows. His supporters, who are massive in number and intensely loyal, view him as a messianic figure battling deep state corruption. If they believe he has been deliberately harmed or killed in prison, the ensuing public reaction would be explosive, far exceeding previous protests. Richard, do you happen to know how the state is responding to this?
Unfortunately, they are responding with denials and stonewalling. The Adiala Jail authorities have consistently dismissed the death rumors. They maintain that Khan is safe, but their actions, the restricted access, the lack of verifiable proof, directly contradict their calming words.
It creates a classic information vacuum. When officials deny something but refuse to provide proof, the rumor becomes more powerful than the denial. It feeds into the existing public skepticism toward the establishment. We've seen this pattern before in nations where the military plays an oversized role in political life. They prioritize control and narrative management over transparency, but in the age of instant social media, that approach is a recipe for disaster.
Let's add further context here, Emily. When you look at the history of political turmoil in Pakistan, from the hanging of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto to the assassination of Benazir Bhutto, the death or disappearance of a political leader has never led to stability. It has always led to decades of resentment, polarization, and violence. The sisters' warning is rooted in this tragic cyclical history. The authorities treating this with opacity are playing with fire.
I agree completely. And the silence is also a political weapon. By keeping Khan incommunicado, the ruling coalition and the military are attempting to neutralize his political voice and momentum ahead of any potential legal or political maneuver. They are trying to turn the most popular figure into an irrelevant figure by isolating him. But the strategy is backfiring, because the silence is now making him a martyr in waiting, giving him more political power from behind the jail walls. Let us move to the next section: the UN spotlight and geopolitical context. The crisis has led to international intervention. The controversy has reached a point where the global community can no longer ignore it. The New Indian Express reported that the UN has formally called on Pakistan to respect Imran Khan's human rights and due process protections.
That's a critical shift. When the UN, particularly its human rights bodies, gets involved, it elevates the issue from a domestic political spat to an international human rights concern. It puts tangible pressure on Islamabad. The UN's call is a clear signal that the world is watching. It's a demand for transparency, fair trial, and proper treatment, the very things his family has been struggling to secure.
The international community is essentially giving Pakistan a diplomatic yellow card. The UN's intervention means that the state's treatment of Khan will now affect its standing in global forums, potentially impacting aid, trade, and diplomatic relations. For a country reliant on international support, this is a serious political problem.
So, what does that mean for us, the audience trying to make sense of this? It means the Khan crisis is no longer confined to the streets of Lahore or in Islamabad. It's a global matter. It puts pressure on regional players, including India, to monitor the situation closely, given that instability in Pakistan has direct security implications for the entire subcontinent. This is the context we need to zoom out to. Pakistan is a nuclear power. Political chaos in a nuclear state is inherently a global security risk.
Absolutely. And we must also consider the geopolitical forces at play. Khan, when he was in power, had complex relationships with major global players, leaning closer to China and at times Russia, while having a fractious relationship with the United States. The perception that he is being politically persecuted by a military-backed government that might be seeking to mend fences with the US and other Western powers only adds to the intrigue and the global scrutiny. The UN's involvement helps legitimize the human rights concerns, cutting through the political noise. Let us move to the last segment: final reflections and the open question. All right, Richard, as we conclude this deep dive, let's offer our listeners 3 essential contexts to frame the ongoing Imran Khan crisis in Pakistan.
Sure, Emily, there are 3 broad key takeaways from this episode. Takeaway 1: the principle of martyrdom. The state's tactic of denying access and creating an information vacuum is having the opposite of its intended effect. The greater the secrecy around Imran Khan, the more he is perceived by his millions of supporters as a victim, a resistance leader, and a martyr in waiting. This is a political blunder that exponentially increases his power base. Takeaway 2: the battle for civilian supremacy. This entire drama is a microcosm of Pakistan's long, unresolved struggle between civilian democratic institutions and the powerful, entrenched military establishment. The contempt pleas, the lack of due process, the official denials, they all point to a state where the institutional power of the military often overrides the constitutional rights and legal framework. Takeaway 3: the threat to regional stability. The chaos warned about by Khan's sister is a palpable global concern. Pakistan is a nuclear state with deep economic woes and high youth unemployment. A prolonged violent political breakdown over the fate of a popular leader would send shockwaves across South Asia and beyond, making this one of the world's most critical watchpoints right now.
And for our viewers, we want to leave you with this open-ended question that frames the immediate future of this volatile situation. Given that UN has intervened and the family has gone to court, will international pressure or domestic legal challenges ultimately be more effective in forcing the Pakistani establishment to provide transparency and ensure Imran Khan's basic rights? Or is the political will to silence him too strong? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Is this a human rights crisis or a political war? Thank you for joining us on the Global Fault Line.